I never expected to be caught off guard in my own home, especially not by my 60-year-old stepmother, Evelyn, moving back in with my father and his new wife. I thought that life after college would be a simple shift, a temporary arrangement until I saved up enough money to get my own place. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened that Tuesday morning. I had just come back to town after finishing my studies, a mix of excitement and nervousness swirling inside me as I began this new phase of my life. My father, Robert, had remarried while I was away. Evelyn was a lively, energetic woman whose laughter was a contagious melody, filling every space she entered. She shattered all my preconceived ideas about stepmothers. We hit it off immediately, our bond unexpectedly strong, often even stronger than the one I had with my own father. That morning, I was in the bathroom getting ready for a job interview. The shower was running, and the mirror was fogged with steam as I nervously ran through potential questions and answers. Landing an interview for my dream job felt like a monumental event, and my heart raced with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. A soft knock on the bathroom door startled me. "Hey, Daniel." Evelyn's voice, soft but clear, filtered through the steam. "Yes, Evelyn?" I called back, trying to sound casual despite the slight quiver in my voice. "Just getting ready for my interview." There was a brief pause before she spoke again. "I'm really sorry to interrupt, but I need to grab something from the bathroom. Do you mind?" I didn't hesitate. "No problem. Come on in," I replied, wiping the condensation from the mirror. The door creaked open, and Evelyn stepped inside, wearing a pale blue robe with her silver hair neatly pulled into a bun. My eyes were fixed on my reflection, but when she reached into the cabinet, I couldn't help but notice her robe had come undone, revealing the elegant curve of her shoulder and the delicate line of her collarbone. I quickly looked away, my face flushing with an unexpected warmth. "Is everything all right?" I stammered, trying to regain my composure. Evelyn glanced at me, her eyes sparkling with amusement. "Oh, I'm fine," she said, holding up a bottle of aspirin. "Just needed something for a little headache. Are you nervous about your interview?" "Yeah, a bit," I admitted, forcing myself to meet her gaze. She flashed me one of her warm, reassuring smiles, the kind that always seemed to ease my anxieties. "You'll do great," she said with firm confidence. "Just be yourself, Daniel. They'll see how wonderful you are." I nodded, feeling grateful for her encouragement. Evelyn had a remarkable way of making others feel at ease, even in the most stressful situations. Suddenly, she gasped, her hand flying to her chest as she fumbled to fasten her robe. A deep blush spread across her neck, coloring her cheeks bright red. "Oh my goodness, Daniel," she exclaimed, her voice filled with embarrassment. "I'm so terribly sorry. I didn't mean to." I was equally flustered, my mind racing from the sudden shift in events. It's all right, Evelyn," I managed to say, turning away to give her some semblance of privacy. "It was an accident." "Yes, just an accident," she repeated, her voice still trembling with mortification. "Please don't mention this to your father, okay? He would be very upset." I nodded, still trying to process the whirlwind of emotions that had taken over me in a matter of seconds. "Of course, it's our secret." She quickly exited the bathroom, leaving me alone with my swirling thoughts. Leaning against the sink, I took a deep breath, attempting to calm my erratic heartbeat. I couldn't believe what had just happened. Evelyn, my 62-year-old stepmother, had unintentionally shown me a glimpse of her vulnerability, a side I'd never seen before. The rest of the day passed in a blur. I couldn't concentrate on anything, not the interview, not my plans, not even the ordinary tasks of daily life. My thoughts kept drifting back to Evelyn, to the accidental slip of her robe, and the expression on her face when she realized what had happened. It wasn't just shock or embarrassment. There was something more, a flicker of something deeper that I couldn't quite understand. That evening, I tried to avoid Evelyn as much as possible. I didn't want to create an awkward situation, but every time our paths crossed, I felt the heat rising in my cheeks. She, however, acted as if nothing had occurred, but there was an undeniable tension in the air. I retreated to my room early, hoping sleep would bring relief from my restless thoughts. But as I lay there, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't shake the memory of that fleeting moment in the bathroom. I knew I shouldn't dwell on it, yet I couldn't ignore the feeling that something was drawing me to her, an inexplicable pull that defied logic and reason. The next morning, I found a note on the kitchen table written in Evelyn's elegant handwriting. It simply read, "Daniel, we need to talk." My heart raced as I read those words. What could she want to discuss? Had she told my father? Was she trying to clear the air? Or was there something more? I crumpled the note in my hand, taking a deep breath to calm my nerves. Whatever was coming, I knew one thing for sure. My life was about to take an unexpected turn. I gazed at Evelyn's note, my mind spinning with a flood of questions. Was she addressing what happened in the bathroom, or was there something deeper behind her request? With my father away on a business trip, it was just Evelyn and me at home. The stillness heightened the tension that hung thick in the air. I had the entire day to prepare myself, to anticipate what Evelyn might say. The weight of the unspoken thoughts between us seemed almost suffocating, and I knew I needed to clear my mind. So I decided to go for a walk, hoping the fresh air and open spaces of the nearby park would help me sort through my swirling thoughts. As I wandered down the winding paths, I couldn't stop replaying the events of the previous morning. Evelyn's flushed face, her hasty exit from the bathroom. Those images were burned into my memory. What had been going through her mind? What was I feeling? The whole situation felt like a confusing whirlwind of emotions that I couldn't quite make sense of. By the time I returned home, the sun was sinking lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the lawn. Through the kitchen window, I saw Evelyn moving gracefully, setting the table and preparing dinner. A tempting aroma filled the air, and I realized she had gone to great lengths: roasted chicken, a variety of side dishes, all prepared for two. "Hello, Daniel." She greeted me with a smile that was as warm and inviting as always. But there was something in her eyes, a flicker of something else, perhaps unease or even anticipation. "I made your favorite," she said. "I hope you're hungry." "Thank you, Evelyn," I replied, sitting down at the table. The tension between us was palpable, a thick silence hanging over our attempts at casual conversation. We avoided the elephant in the room, sticking to safe topics. But eventually, when our plates were empty, she set down her fork and met my gaze. "Daniel, about what happened yesterday," she started quietly, her voice barely audible. I met her eyes, my heart pounding. I wasn't sure what I was expecting her to say, but I knew I was ready to face it. "Yes," I said slowly, my voice steady. "I've been thinking about it too," she sighed, her fingers running through her silver hair as if trying to untangle her own thoughts. "I'm not sure how to say this, but I think we need to be honest with each other. What happened in the bathroom wasn't just an accident. Well, it was, but—" Her voice trailed off, her eyes searching for the right words. She took a breath, her tone regaining strength. "It stirred something in me. Feelings I didn't expect, feelings I thought I had buried a long time ago." Her gaze remained firm, her words laced with a vulnerability that caught me off guard. I was stunned. This wasn't the conversation I had been anticipating. I had expected apologies, or perhaps a request to forget the awkward moment. But this was something entirely different. "Evelyn, what are you saying?" I managed, my voice barely above a whisper. She took a deep breath, her eyes locking onto mine with unwavering intensity. "I'm saying that I felt something between us for a while now," she confessed. "Something I couldn't explain, something I tried to ignore. I know it's wrong. I never wanted anything to happen. But yesterday, it made me realize that maybe you feel it too." My mind reeled with a mixture of emotions: confusion, excitement, guilt, all swirling together in a chaotic dance. I couldn't deny that I felt something as well. Evelyn was beautiful, intelligent, and there was an undeniable connection between us, a spark I had tried to push away. But she was my stepmother, my father's wife. Surely this was wrong, wasn't it? "I don't know what to say," I finally admitted, my voice heavy with inner conflict. "I mean, you're my stepmother and dad." "I know," she interrupted, her hand reaching across the table to cover mine. A shock of electricity ran through me at her touch, my heart racing even faster. "I love your father, but what I feel for you, it's different. It's like we understand each other in a way no one else does." Her touch was intoxicating, and despite every instinct telling me to pull away, to establish a boundary before we crossed into forbidden territory, I found myself leaning in closer, my heart racing with anticipation. "Evelyn?" I began, but before I could finish, she leaned in. her lips meeting mine in a kiss that ignited a fire inside me. At first, our kiss was tentative, a soft exploration of forbidden territory, a question asked without words. But it quickly escalated, a flood of suppressed emotions and desires breaking loose between us. I kissed her in return. My hands instinctively moved to her waist, drawing her closer, desperate to close the gap that had kept us apart for far too long. In that moment, the world outside our embrace disappeared. There was only Evelyn and me, consumed by a force neither of us could resist, but reality, like a cold splash of water, forced us back to reality. I pulled away, my breath erratic, my mind reeling from the intensity of what had just happened. "Evelyn, we can't do this," I stammered, my voice thick with confusion and guilt. "What about Robert? What about us?" Her eyes met mine, a kaleidoscope of conflicting emotions swirling within them: desire, confusion, and regret. "I don't know, Daniel," she confessed, her voice laced with doubt. "I just know I can't ignore what I feel. But you're right, we need to think about the consequences. What this means for us, for everyone." I nodded, the weight of our actions pressing down on me like a heavy cloak. I had no answers, only the harsh realization that everything had changed irreversibly. There was no turning back, no forgetting the memory of the passion that had ignited between us. We sat in silence, the gravity of the situation hanging heavily in the air, an unspoken truth casting a long shadow over our fragile peace. The days that followed felt like a blur of surreal normalcy. Evelyn and I tried to keep up appearances, keeping our conversations light and our interactions brief. But the tension between us was palpable, an electric charge that buzzed with every stolen glance, every hesitant word. When my father returned from his trip, he was oblivious to the turmoil brewing beneath the surface of our home. I tried to concentrate on my job search, but my thoughts kept drifting back to Evelyn, to the forbidden kiss, to the emotions we had both fought so hard to suppress. Then one evening, I found Evelyn sitting alone on the porch, her gaze fixed on the horizon as the sun sank beneath the tree line. A mixture of peace and sorrow radiated from her, a reflection of the storm within. Without a word, I joined her, and we sat quietly, watching the sky turn into a canvas of fiery colors. Finally, she broke the silence, her voice soft and tinged with sadness. "I've been thinking a lot, Daniel. About us, about what happened." "Me too," I admitted, my eyes avoiding hers. "I can't stop thinking about it." She turned to face me, her eyes filled with a new resolve. "I think we need to make a decision, Daniel," she said, her voice steady yet gentle. "Either we end this now, before it goes any further, or we try to understand what this is, what we want." Her words resonated deeply within me, echoing the turmoil in my own heart. We couldn't keep pretending the spark between us didn't exist. But what did I want? What did we want? "What do you want, Evelyn?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper, afraid of the answer. Her eyes met mine, filled with a mixture of longing and sadness. "I want you, Daniel," she confessed. "But I don't want to hurt your father. I don't want to destroy everything we've built, our family, our home." I nodded, understanding her conflict, for it mirrored my own. "I don't want to hurt him either," I said, "but I can't deny how I feel about you." She reached out, taking my hand in hers, her touch sending a wave of warmth through me. "Maybe we should take some time," she suggested. "Give ourselves space to understand what this really is, without the pressure, without the guilt." "Yes," I agreed, squeezing her hand gently. "Maybe that's the best thing to do." As the last rays of sunlight faded, casting a soft twilight glow around us, we sat there, hand in hand, two souls bound by a forbidden connection. The future was uncertain, the path ahead filled with challenges, but for now, in the quiet intimacy of the moment, we had each other, and somehow that felt like enough.